Two, one, and we're live. Good afternoon, Quasar Markets Live. Your host here, Howard Hondo Greenberg. And I've got him back this afternoon. I was able to get the big man back in the room himself, Stephen Bigbeat Orr, CEO and founder of Quasar Markets. Steve, how you doing today?
I am very good, Howard. You should be smiling this afternoon.
Yeah, as I said to you, I was going to take my victory lap here. I felt we would grind up most of the day, and I'll pull up the SPY here. And we have, it just seemed like we didn't see that irrationality we've seen, in that choppiness at the beginning. So I just was a little bit, bullish that I thought that might actually continue. And as you can see here, it has. We've in general moved up on both, you can see on the daily chart and on the hourly chart here on SPY. So, that's good to see. QQQ now up over a point also. So I'm happy to see that. The other interesting ones is as that's rising, we're seeing all, this is like I said, what was different today, and it reminded me more of what we were seeing in early August, is all ships were rising today. I noticed that the Russell Small market cap is up, 0.82%. You have gold up still 1.65, silver up 3.89. So you are seeing just solid across the board performance. Bitcoin still above 58, so overall things look pretty good. What are you hearing on the streets today as you're out and about talking to everybody?
Yeah, I mean, look, one of my favorites, Unity Software, ticker U, there is up almost 12% to 11.09 now percent. I think the calmness has come back into the market, which is what we needed to see. And we saw that. And I think one of the cool things that we can talk about now, I guess, is that we know that there's going to be a little bit of a front running. We saw it with Europe now of cutting rates, and that's making the markets happy. Um, they don't care. I know people say this all the time. Oh, if this person was president or this person was president, the markets would be a whole lot better. Or if I'm not elected, markets are going to crash. That's just simply not true. Um, what you want to see in the markets is what we're seeing right now: calmness. We want to know who the president is going to be. We want to know what's going on. Okay, now we can focus. Nobody, I mean, I know people have a drillers of who they want to be president. That's great, but that's not how the markets work. Believe it or not, the markets care about both teams. They don't really care. They just want to know how to invest. And in this situation, we know how to invest, and it's becoming extremely clear now who the new president of the United States is going to be. So, I think that calmness is starting to hit the market a bit, and because of that, yeah.
Yeah, with that being said, that's that's what that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a rational buyer right now today. I'm seeing volume in the right spots in
Correct.
the right
Yeah.
places. Like we talked about, we had spoke about it this morning. Kroger, had a great earnings report, but then all of a sudden on the open dropped down, but now we're seeing it get up, 54, 58 right now, got as high as 54.98, up almost 6% on the day. I did think it was funny. The Kroger president talked about the weakening they're seeing in their high end customer.
Yeah.
I am a big shopper at Kroger's. I don't know that I would call us high end shoppers. I always think of, delivering, coming. It's funny, just, I guess that's a big city view, coming from DC where I'm used to Whole Foods and, sort of that world being the high end, shopper. Kroger was, Harris Teeter there was where us little local, things. And I think what he's saying is that higher middle class, who I do think is getting hit probably the hardest right now, that they're trading down. So they are seeing the trade down there. We talked about that also earlier today, if you weren't with us this morning, about McDonald's extending their $5 meal through December now because, and that's a good sign to show where the economy is weakening, right, Steve? You've mentioned it
Right.
at the low end. If at the low end, McDonald's is saying, "Hey, I got to be at $5 to make some money," to get people in, I should say, because they're probably not making a ton of money off that deal. It shows you that the economy is weakening. There's no other way around it. I have seen a couple of analyst reports again today following what you and I have talked about banks maybe getting attractive here, that they will be a beneficiary. No matter how you look at it, they become a beneficiary of that lowering of the threshold. So, is this the time to look at a JPM? You know, where were they today? So right now we've got. Sorry, what did I go right by them?
It is interesting that Micron is down 3% here. I am looking at that one. We are seeing the bigger boards like the United Airlines UAL up almost 3% there. You're also seeing ARM flat on the day. It's all going into Nvidia, the chipset maker. So to me, that's where it's all going. It's an Nvidia day. Ripple is still pushing higher here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bitcoin at 58.3. I think it went to 58.4 here earlier. Yeah, I mean it is what it is.
You know that's what you're seeing. And you know we saw that for a long time, right? With Tesla, Tesla was taking a lot of the wins out of other parts of the market.
Yeah.
When they had their increase, I do think that that's sort of the Nvidia effect that we have right now. Google was actually playing nice earlier today. Um, on that side too, that one has been one of the laggards when it comes to the big names out there right now. Let's see what else is moving here. Warner Brothers, what did you think about that? The Warner Brothers was moving up today. I forgot about that one. They announced that they for once, what we normally hear is up to the last minute, negotiations. But they've actually already signed their deal with Charter, and that saw them moving up about 8.57% earlier today.
I mean, you're already
Uh,
seeing fights with Charter. You're already seeing fights with Disney, Hulu. All those things are big fights out there. They're all trying to kiss each other's behinds, and we're starting to see that now, right? So to me, there's gonna be a little bit of back and forth as we go through this time frame. This is what happens usually around September, October. Those contracts start to come up. So it is what it is. I'm not too concerned about that one.
okay. Signet's been holding up nicely today. That was another one we talked about this morning. Signet Jewelers, off of their good earnings report, still up about 13% here. So we are seeing that strong push for retail. Steve mentioned earlier today, LVMH is his play. If you're looking for that luxury goods that will be recession proof, because that buyer is in a different class, not worried too much about their daily bills. So one to keep an eye on there.
Seems like we might have a little bit of a selling here in the afternoon, though.
You think we'll see some slowdown? No power hour today for us?
I don't think we'll see power hour today. No.
I can hope. Yeah, it does look like it's slowing down. What's the tick look like, Steve?
Tick right now is down about 47. It's been flat all day. It's been up to about 800 and down to about 800. So it's in a fairly good range, but it's been a normal up day pushing higher. So I think that's going to kind of slow down a little bit.
Okay. It's been a slow news day today. There hasn't been a whole bunch out there. Most of the talk has been, based around the election, from there and the fact, and then looking at what the ECB did and that the Fed will follow in suit. But been a pretty quiet day, which, would lead to also why we're not seeing much volatility. VIX also is still going down about 1710 now, about 3.34% on the day. So good to see that.
Yeah, I mean, the Dow's in 160, the Nasdaq up 13. If you had told me 5 years ago that the market would be up two and down 200 same day, I would have been, wow, what a crazy market, what a crazy world we live in. But I've not seen that.
We'll point out, Steve, if you take a look at the hourly chart here on the right hand side, I had before we came on drawn up we had been in a bull flag. You can see how we broke out of that. Looked very similar actually to what I had drawn up on Bitcoin's daily chart. So
Yeah.
it was interesting. As it broke through that, you could see that was what I was looking for today, and it did actually play out. So good to see that formation hold up there. And again, volume has been pretty steady throughout the afternoon. Um, The last 2 hours holding pretty steady. So we'll see. Crude's whole is inching up to that $70 rate you always talk about.
We're looking at the advanced decline line on the day. It's up positive by 1,500, 1494. That to me is a very bullish day, but I think we're finally getting to that point now. We're also seeing the VIX pushing up a little bit here. I have a feeling that we're going to probably see a little bit of selling here.
Wouldn't surprise me as it reverses the trend from yesterday where we had the power hour. We sometimes see that 24-hour cycle sort of play out. So we picked up yesterday around 2:30, 3 o'clock, and got that nice run into after hours. It picked up earlier this morning. We got that one irrational drop right at 9 today, or a little bit after, a little bit after 9:30, and then it has been going pretty much straight up since then. So it will be interesting to see how it plays out here. For those last 2 hours, does it fade off, or is this a more sustainable? Do we see a little bit of a push going into FOMC and into the weekend? I think if Bitcoin can close above 58,500, that would be a very good harbinger for us looking into the after hours European market and into the Asian markets.
One thing that I noticed in the news that was very interesting to me was the 650-foot wave. Did you see that?
No, I don't know if you saw my face on the screen. No, what is that about?
We had a wave over in Greenland that lasted not one day. It lasted 9 days. It happened in Greenland, and mainly because of a fjord, a massive slide of ice came off of a sheet. And look, regardless of what people think of climate change, it's definitely here. And it's really a bad thing. I mean, considering that in Greenland, yes, but that's the highest tsunami ever recorded in history. It happened over the last 9 days, not just one little day, not just a few minutes, 9 days. It was caused by a
I saw a big ice. They had a big similar thing where a glacier down in Antarctica broke off a huge, huge, huge chunk recently too. Yeah, that there is no doubt that there's it's an ever changing situation, and climate change is real. Science is real. Let's just put it
the
that way.
last time that we had one of that somewhat it was a wave of 300 feet tall. It was in 2017. Two villages in Greenland were absolutely decimated. They had to move people out of the way.
Jeez.
But this thing is 2 to 3 times, and we're seeing it at a much faster pace now of these massive ones. So that's not normal. That's a pretty big deal, I think, to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, just weather in general, we've seen it. I mean, for a first time, and I don't know how many years, but it sounds like it's been in decades. There's a drought here in the Midwest in Ohio, which is where a lot of the farmland is.
Yeah.
So there's definitely that. And we got the Louisiana about to get bashed right off the hurricane.
Yeah, frenzy coming in
They're
now.
talking about that come through. We've definitely seen more and more extreme weather shifts. Even snow in the West last year. So yeah, I think we adapt. We just can't push those things too much. Yeah, you hope we do the right stuff there. Let's get back to something more exciting. Bitcoin, 58,500. If we can break through that, I do think you see 60K here, Steve.
I think one thing you're going to have, and interestingly enough, next week is you're going to have an interview with me and Michael Litt. If you don't know Michael Litt is the guy who wrote the paper for Front Point Partners, better known as The Big Short, in 2008, and was dead on, and he pulled his money out of the markets long before it ever happened, and was sitting in the sidelines smiling. Look, he's coming to talk to us about his next thesis. And that paper is actually in the infographic within your system. So if you have the system, click on infographic, implement it into the system, and you'll see the latest paper actually written by Michael Litt. So, and we will have him in the interview on Monday.
And for those that don't know, his reports are read by hedge fund managers and wealth management family offices around the world who make those decisions based upon his information. I know that Steve interviewed him in his last role back in November, and I was actually looking at the interview, and he nailed a bunch of different things back when the Fed was raising rates and then going to hit their nominal rate. And now he's got his thesis as the Fed reverses and does its, lowering of rates here. So look forward for that early next week. Should be a great interview with you too.
I also think there's something else I want to look at too, and the news has been pretty popular, and we've implemented it in our own system, and that's OpenAI's new Strawberry system. We call it human reasoning. This thing is going to be unbelievable as Microsoft and Google and those companies are investing, and NVIDIA as well, into OpenAI, and then the new product called Strawberry. And Strawberry is really going to be a game changer in the AI. In the past, AI has felt like a little bit like a Google search on steroids, but this is different. This is human reasoning. It's thinking about how the human would feel, and what they would look at, and what would they be thinking about, and how does it make sense. So if I turn the lights on in the house, and should I turn the lights on everywhere, or just where I'm at? That human reasoning is starting to become more popular, and I think this is where, and I've been talking about it, where AI needs to go to, and I think we're here now. So yeah.
That is amazing stuff. It really is. What's coming next on AI is, like you said, it's not the AI that people think of, which is Chat GPT and sort of your basic spiced up Google. You know what? I have one for you. I just saw a report that was talking about how millennials and the younger generation is going about getting their information. That they are not using Google. Do you know that they're using the search functions in their social media, and especially TikTok, to search things?
Yes,
That
it is.
scares the living you know what out of me. I just
Right.
saw that. I meant to bring that up to you when we were talking a little bit before we came on. Yeah, it just blew my mind. I said, wait a second, they're getting their information. So if they want to know, you know, what's happening in Springfield, Ohio, they're trying to find out through
So do
TikTok.
we
I
just
don't
go to
know.
TikTok and Twitter, and we go cats on steroids, right? Look, you're absolutely right. Because why? Because they're in their search, they're in their own social media all day long. Going to Google or going somewhere else, they have to shift and lift, right? They have to think about what they want to implement that. Google has now put social media inside of it as a second liner. So if you Google social media or Google Quasar Markets, the second line into it is Twitter. It's our LinkedIn feed. It's all
Right,
those feeds, right?
absolutely.
And so they're sucking down because they're basing on what other people are thinking. It's not so much as that is there a bias in TikTok or a bias in Instagram? There is. But I think what they're looking for is the speed and efficiency of getting the news as fast as they want. Even in our own stuff, we have a press releases, we've got institutional news, we've got regular news, and if you just put in the search bar what you're interested in looking at, it's automatically going to give it to you, not just from news, but also from social media and also from other places too. We've also implemented a Twitter news as well module. So
Yep.
look, the truth of the matter is, you're absolutely right. They're going to the social media side of it, and we've implemented the news into our modules in a way that they can easily access that data. So yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I have everything right here in front of us. I have the platform up. Trade halts right here. You can see RYDE just was halted at 216. UPC at 2 o'clock. You've got your upcoming economic events right here from IRA. You get that option chain that you and Scott Bauer put together that just gives you everything you need in one spot. I haven't done that video in a while. I'll do it again tomorrow. The video where I show how easy it is to set this up. Your widgets on the platform. As you mentioned, there's your Quasar news, there's your Saturn news, your Pluto news, Trading View news, all in one spot. I keep Twitter up a little higher. It's interesting. I just keep it up right to the top, right under the heat maps Because like you said, that's where people are getting your information. The other one that I use so much, U.S. market movers, your gainers for the day, your decliners, active by value. So, you get to see those things. That's how I'm able to find those pumpers that I talk about every morning now. Right off of that, updated. You can see I have my heat maps right here. For me, I have crypto. I have the indices, or ETFs, I should say. And then I have, your stocks. I have my ticker. Everything's right here. And it's interactive. So if I say, wow, Ripple's up 5.109, let me take a bigger look at that. If I click on it, it's actually interactive. And what comes up, I'm right into TradingView. And here's TradingView's information on Ripple. I can find out and go, wait a second, there's got to be some news that's leading to that, right? Nothing else in crypto is up 5% today. And I could come right in, click on the news, and it would bring up, of course, here that Grayscale has announced that they are launching a trust, the first XRP trust. Is there an ETF coming soon?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the key, right? We don't, when I helped build this machine, built the machine, I'll tell you that one of the things that I wanted people to say was, why is the stock moving? What's going on? Well, I don't want them to ever have to ask that question. They will know what, if they have their certain stock, they'll know exactly why that stock is moving within seconds. So we have a new module coming out, probably will happen in about 2 weeks, where we're going to have order flow around the news.
Oh, wow.
And that's a new module. Yeah, you're breaking some news here, I guess. We got about 12 to 15 new modules coming in the next 2 weeks. We've been very busy here, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, it is amazing every day when you tell me what companies we're partnering, who's coming on board, what modules, what's coming next. You're filling from A to Z for an investor to give you the equal footing, the things that you used to only get that access to if you were an institutional investor. You're getting that at, one spot, like I said. For me, this replaced, 6 screens. I laugh. Now I have open space on some of these screens because it's all right there. You know what I mean? I'm able to send out this show takes 3 screens that I used to have all that stuff off. Luckily, Quasar Markets allows me to get everything in one spot. And for me, it's just been a game changer. And like I said, everything in one place. It was like today, as you know, on the Slack, someone was asking us about an option chain. I was able to quickly answer them a question because I was on the platform already. I just went through and said, okay, let me take a quick look for you. Yeah, that looks like it's good or it's bad. I'm not an expert, as I told him, on the best value that you find out of an option chain, so we put him in the right hands.
But the data is there for the people to look at.
Yeah, right there in front of you. Steve, I think we're going to call it a day here. I know you are a busy man, and I really appreciate you coming on this afternoon. As we leave here, we are seeing a little bit, well, no, we're still at 1.15 on the NASDAQ, 0.77 on the S&P. Everything is holding up, so, 223, I think we'll find out in the next 15 minutes or so if we can get a little bit of a power hour to drive us into the end of the day. Again, for Stephen Big Beat or I am your man, Howard Greenberg. We will see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.